Students, I just wanted to make one thing clear before you start off with this week's work. I wanted to make the distinction between the lab work and the project work clear so that you can follow along with whatever is going to happen starting from this week. So let me show you where you can find your lab dataset and your project dataset on your course. So when you go to your course homepage, this is how it looks like. Now, when you go to content, and then when you go to module 2, this is where you will see your lab dataset for the first time. So where do you find your lab dataset? Originally, your module 2 should look like this. It has 5 different sections on it. Prepare is your reading material. Learn is your lecture videos. Practice is your PSN homework. Apply is the section where you will find all the lab materials. So when you click on this apply, this is where you will see the data set for your lab book. So let me quickly download this so that you can see what kind of variables you have on your lab data set. So this is the downloaded lab data set. So let's open this. Okay. So now you see your lab data set here. It has 6 variables on it: house ID, borough, overall qual, live area, fireplaces, and sale price. These are the same variables, and this is the same data that the lab videos also use. So you can pretty much follow along with whatever is being said in the lab videos and then work with this data set. So nothing new needs to be done as far as the lab works are concerned. So that's the first part. The second part is about the projects. Now let's go back onto our course. So that's the apply part. Apply part is all the lab work. The next thing is the SS part. SS part is where you'll find the links to your project submissions. So over here, you will find the link to the project submission. When you click on this link, you'll find the instructions on what you're supposed to be submitting for the project part and the relevant materials corresponding to that. Amongst these materials, you can find the project dataset. Now I'll keep doing this for every project part submission. If you find this all too confusing, what I also did is, if you go back to your table of contents, you will find a module called midterm project folder, this one right here. So please look out for this one. When you click on this midterm project folder, you will see a few documents in here. The first thing that you have to look at is the project dataset. So this is the one. Now let's download this and then see how this is different from our lab dataset. So there we have the downloaded project dataset. Let me open this up. Right, so this is the project dataset. Now in the project dataset, you'll find a couple of variables which are the same, which is house ID and sale price. But there are 4 other variables which are different. In this case, we have foundation, basement qual, mason, MAS, VNR area, and garage cars. Now let me try to split the screen so that you can see your project data set on one side and the lab data set on the other side so that you clearly understand the distinction. So to the left, you're seeing the project data set. And to the right, you're seeing the lab data set. So this part to the left is the project data set, and this part to the right is your lab data set. In both the cases, you're doing the same thing, which is housing price analysis. In both the cases, what you're trying to do is predict house prices. So the problem is the same in both lab as well as the project. The only thing that changes is the underlying variables that you're using. Lab uses borough, overall qual, live area, fireplaces, along with house ID and sale price. Project uses foundation, basement qual, MES, VNR area, garage cars, along with house ID and sale price. So please keep this distinction in mind whenever you're working on your projects and your labs. Now, let me go back to this midterm project folder and then show you a few more things. So in this midterm project folder, you'll see a few documents. Firstly, there is a midterm sample report. Now, for your midterm, you'll be submitting 2 documents for each paths. The first one is going to be an Excel document. I'll give you more instructions in the submission window as far as what that Excel document is supposed to be comprising. But the first one is the Excel document. The second one is going to be a Word document report. And that should look something like this sample report. This sample report is converted into a PDF, and this is also based off of a different project. So this is not GPA analysis. We are not doing GPA analysis on our project. We are doing housing price analysis. This is just a sample report. So if you notice, it has a few sections. Understand the problem statement. This is where you're pretty much writing down what you understood about the problem and then stating down the problem statement. And then this is where you'll build the data dictionary. This is where you're writing the diagnostics table. This is where you're writing the interpretation on what steps you use to clean the data. This is where you're writing your univariate quantitative analysis. And this is where you're doing your univariate categorical analysis. You don't have to do all this work in a single go. That's why I split the midterm into 3 different parts. So in the first part, what you will do is you will pretty much try to write down your names, write down the name of the analysis, which is housing price analysis in our case, write down understand the problem part, problem statement, and fill this data dictionary. So this is all you'll be doing for midterm project part 1. Similarly, you'll work on the other parts in future project parts. For now, you're only completing until this page number 1. Now, all of you might not be able to edit PDFs. So I've given you a template that you can work with. So if you go back to this midterm project folder, there is another file called midterm template, this one right here. Now, if you download this, this is a Word document. So this is easily editable. So if you open this, it's basically blank. It just has the side headings. So over here, you will see the project title. So this is where you can edit the title, call it as housing price analysis. And this is where you will see all the subheadings. So this is where you can write the statements for understand the problem. This is where you can write the statements for problem statement. This is where you can build the data dictionary. So you try using this template, follow along with what the sample report is doing, and then edit it in a similar fashion. In addition to this, I've also given you instructions on what you're supposed to be doing for both your part 1 and part 2. So try follow along with these instructions whenever you are trying to work on the project. As always, if you have any question whatsoever, just shoot me an email and then ask me if you need any help. If you want to reach out to me during my office hours, or if you want to reach out to the tutoring center, please make appointments. Okay. So happy learning once again. See you whenever we have an opportunity. Bye-bye.